The struggle to find meaningful work is something faced by most people who have had a serious spinal cord injury. During this program, Rhett, Martin, Derek and Hannah will reveal how they conquered disablement and despair with the support of Kaleidoscope, run by the New Zealand Spinal Trust.
My name is Hannah and I come from the North Shore. I wasn't born here, I was actually born in Australia, but I class myself as a Kiwi because I've been here since I was little. My passion and background is dance and drama and performing, and also teaching children from the ages of 4 up until 18 and working as an independent performing artist between teaching. It was very early in the morning. I was visiting my auntie, who was staying at some friend's place in Tauranga, and I decided I'd go for a swim. I dived into the swimming pool. I thought it was deep enough. I'd never actually been into the pool before. I hit the bottom, felt an electric shock, and obviously that was my vertebrae hitting my spinal cord. I had no idea that I'd broken my neck. I had no idea what was wrong. And just as I thought, I can't hold my breath anymore, my beautiful man Ian came out and knew something was wrong. There was no one around at the time, so. And luckily my auntie, who was a nurse, came out. Ian, my partner, went, "Can you feel that?" And he touched my leg and I, "No." And so immediately she knew that it was probably a spinal injury, and of course she didn't say anything, and then she called the ambulance, and that was that.
Rhett Brown's lifestyle has always been very active. Much of his working life was spent outdoors in physically demanding jobs.
Well, I grew up in Whangarei, born and bred. I joined the Forest Service and was a government hunter for a couple of years. And then I joined the police to become a career police officer. My interests were reading and my furniture restoration, a great passion. My boss and I, we were building a luxury beach house at Omaha, just out of Warkworth. I was attaching building paper to the framework of the house, and I was working off a small deck, which had been framed, but it wasn't clad with a walking surface. I was standing on 2 planks, and I ran out of staples in the staple gun. I remember turning, but the next conscious thought I had was that I was falling, and I felt a crunch. My body collapsed to the ground. In that instant, I just knew that I'd broken my neck and I was paralysed. We had a ramset gun on the ground very close to where I fell, and I was looking at it. I just wanted to die. I was pleading with my boss to shoot me with it. At that stage, all I knew was that I was a vegetable. I would have to live in wheelchairs. I didn't want any part of it.
In the 1970s, Derek Wright was based in Australia. In February of 1979, he and his pregnant wife were looking to come home to New Zealand with big plans for the future.
We're just ready to come back to New Zealand to work in what was then going to be family business. I actually always wanted to be a builder. At that stage, the Huntley Power Station started, so I went to work on that, doing concrete. So that got me into construction, and I worked with that for a long time. We were on our way from Perth to Esperance, a place called Ravensthorpe, when the accident happened. The accident occurred about 7:30. Steering problem, tie rod slap in the car, and we rolled, and that was it. And by 12:30, they had me back in Royal Perth, basically, with the air ambulance. About 2.5 weeks before I woke up and was told the break was vertebrae C7 on T1, which means that I lost hand function and everything else below the armpits.
I was born in Dargaville. My parents split up when I was 2 years old. 97, our mother took me and my twin brother over to Australia, and she passed away over there. As soon as I was only 11, and my brother, we had to come back and live with the old man, so we went up to Dargaville, lived with the old man until I was 16. I moved to Auckland with my girlfriend at the time. I met up with her uncle, who was a scaffolder. He says, "Oh, would you like to come to work?" I says, "Oh, what is it?" And he goes, "Scaffolding." I was like, "Oh, what is that?" He says, "You'll have to come to work to find out." And I never left. On the 31st August 2007, we were dismantling a scaffold. I was working away and the plank was slippery. There was no handrails. I didn't have my harness on. And I slipped. I realised that's what was happening, and I went to go back and stop myself from falling. And just as my hands were about to, take grass and catch myself from falling, I hit my back. Landed on my bottom, which compressed the brake and shattered my vertebrae. And I laid on my back, and split seconds later I was like, oh man, I better get up before anybody noticed that I just fell off the scaffold. So I quickly try to twist over and get up this side, and then I twisted over this way and tried to get up this side, and I felt a very sharp, cold pins and needle sensation running from my belly button right down to my toes, and I knew instantly that I was paralysed. And I just sort of laid back and put my hand over my eyes, and tears started rolling out.
After their accidents, spinal patients Rhett, Derek, Martin and Hannah all faced an uncertain, frightening future.
And I remember coming out of a sleep and a doctor standing at the end of the bed. He said, Mr. Brown, I have to say you have a significant injury to your neck and you'll never walk again. I just smiled and said, well, thank you very much. I knew that. I'd been discharged from Otara. My wife left me just after the accident. She didn't want to stay. I had no matrimonial home to go to when I was discharged from the spinal unit. So I was discharged and lived in a private old people's home, private hospital, here in Wongarei. I lived there for 2.5 years.
The first couple of days was quite quiet at the spinal unit. I was just kept to myself. I was quite scared. The doctor would come and do his rounds and say, well, this is your prognosis. You've got less than 5% chance of regaining any movement from your breakdown. I was more worried about if life was worth living and whether my sex life and the amount of fun that I used to have before my accident, will it still be the same after? A lot of thoughts ran through my mind, and it was quite scary.
I spent about 11 days in Tauranga, and then I was transferred to the spinal unit, where I spent 3 months learning to walk, kind of feeling a bit like an infant again, I guess. I went through a range of emotions. Obviously very upset. I lost my independence, and I'm quite an independent person, to anger. And the doctor said, okay, so what's your goal, Hannah? And I said, I want to walk out of the spinal unit. That's everyone's goal, but the reality is that that's probably not going to happen. So, and I sat there thinking, oh, I can't believe you've just said that to me. Damn you, I will walk out of the spinal unit.
This guy Chris, he was my nurse, and he comes in and he tells me, oh, this is how it is now, and he picked up my leg and he threw it on the bed, and he picked up my other leg and threw it on the bed, and sort of just manhandled it a bit. And I was freaking out like, wow, this is pretty rough, man. I did, just broken my back, and and then he sort of sat me down and says, well, this is how it is. We don't treat you like a little kid in here. This is where we're rehabilitating you to do it yourself.
But for all of them, there came a turning point.
The first thing I thought was, how would anyone want to be with someone like me now? I'm useless. I can't do anything. And he was just amazing. He said, no matter what happens, I'm going to stick by you. And that was all I needed to hear, really. Ian kind of strapped a pen to my hand and he said, I've got you something and I think you should use this because it'll be very good for your healing. And it was a journal. I started to write in this journal every day, and it was so good for me, for my healing.
One morning I woke up, I had a revelation. I don't know what happened, but a voice was in my head saying, Rhett, you are what you are. You aren't going to walk. You're paralysed. There are people worse off than you, mate. Pull yourself together and get on with things.
This other guy in the spinal unit, when I was there, he must have been a room over than me. I saw him scoot past me door one time, then I saw him scoot past again. Hey, come here, bro. And he came in, his name was Fabian, I was like, oh, kia ora, bro, what's up? Oh, how come you're in here, bro? You're moving too fast? He sort of explained why he was in there, and I says, oh, grab my wheelchair, bro, that's us, we're off.
Wheelchair basketball helps give Martin the comradeship, motivation and fitness to pull himself out of feeling unwanted and unworthy.
The basketball crew, they used to come out to the spinal unit every Tuesday and Friday and do some training, talk to us all and share thoughts. A couple of times there they says, oh, well, should we go up the shop, we'll go get a feed, and I was like, well, I can't get up the hill. And they were like, yes you can. They just kept on pushing me, and eventually, you know, they just showed me the ropes of how to attack different situations in the community.
As for Hannah, she worked relentlessly on traditional physiotherapy treatments as well as trying acupuncture.
The first time he came in, he stuck a needle in somewhere in my leg, and he said, now just really focus and move your leg. And I moved it and it went woo, and I went ah, and like screamed, and my roommates were like, what's going on? I was like, I've just moved my leg.
After months of intensive physiotherapy and acupuncture, Hannah was more determined than ever to walk again.
You just have no idea that it's going to take that long. And it was really cool actually. My friends and my mum had organised a red carpet.
And Hannah's determination and hard work paid off as she made a theatrical exit from the spinal unit.
I mean, I could take a few steps, but I really needed that balance, so I quickly grabbed Mum and Ian's hand and we walked out the doors together, and it was amazing and it was beautiful. It was such a big thing that I'd walked out of the spinal unit, and that it was, you know, I had this red carpet. So everyone knew, all the nurses, and they still talk about it today, the red carpet and walking out, because it doesn't happen very often.